I'm Chief Cheryl Victorian. This is Waco PD on the beat. Whether it's crime or just getting to know the Waco Police Department, we're here to talk about things that matter most to you.
Hello, Waco, and welcome to Waco PD on the beat. I'm Sierra Shipley, the Public Information Officer.
And I'm Officer AJ Smith, the Crime Stoppers Coordinator from McLennan County.
And you know what I just realized, AJ?
What's that?
We have not said in a while the meaning of beat. Do you remember it?
We're building relationships, engaging
the community,
actively working together to keep you all safe with teachable moments for all.
That's right.
That I memorized it.
I know, and that's that. I know it is kind of a hard acronym. I wish we could come up with something shorter, but there's so much we want to do all the time. There's so much we want to make the public, known that this is what we're trying to do, that it's hard to sum things up into one word.
So many shenanigans that we get into.
Good shenanigans, though. Good shenanigans. All the events that we are putting on. We actually...
we've got a lot coming up, too.
We do have a lot coming up. Before we get into any of that, for this episode, we're actually going to be talking about the Community Outreach Unit. And we don't have any special guests, it's you and I.
I'm not special?
Well, we are special in our own ways. But, I mean, we're on every episode, so...
My mom tells me I'm special.
You are so special, AJ. But we figured that, AJ, you're in the Community Outreach Unit.
I am.
And I work very closely alongside that unit. And so it would be really cool to just talk about what you guys all do in there. And it kind of seemed a little silly to have someone on that you can so easily talk about.
Plus, this way I can kind of say whatever I want and no one can fact check me. We do all the community activities.
All of them.
All of them.
At least 50%.
We outreach to the community.
Well, you are the community outreach unit.
We engage with the community sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. So the community outreach unit is not all officers as well, right?
No.
So explain how many people are in the community outreach unit.
5 of them, including myself.
5 including yourself.
Yes.
And who are those 5?
So we've got myself, Officer Martinez, who we've had on a couple times. Mm-hmm. We've got Candace. I don't know. Has she been on here?
She has.
We've had her volunteers, but she has not been on here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Sergeant Motley, who's our supervisor. And then we've got Nora, who kind of helps fill in the pieces.
Right. And the community outreach unit is so much more than community outreach, I feel like. I mean,
yes, like anything to do with, I guess, connecting the community to the police department. Basically, if you're not calling 911 because you need emergency assistance, mm-hmm. we're going to be the ones that you work with.
Yeah.
Us or NET. I mean, they're starting to do programs and things too. But
yes, our neighborhood engagement team is starting to do some more community-driven events and things like that. But I would say that you guys are the most fun unit.
We did bring bounce houses to the police department, so...
That's not me being biased. And when I say the most fun, I mean, we've talked about a lot on this podcast where, when you call 911, it's not because you're calling 911 to talk about how great of a day you had. And an officer, a police officer, patrolling the streets that day isn't coming to service you because you just wanted to say hi, And so, I mean, every once in a while, someone might walk up to an officer and just say hi, right? But that's not very as common as what you guys get to do, which is go to schools, hang out with kids.
Answer all of the really fun and interesting questions.
Yes.
Like Kids Ask the Darndest Things is a TV show for a reason.
Yes. You guys get to, handle all the volunteers with the police department. You have the Junior Police Academy, and... You guys get to do all the fun stuff.
We do.
Put on all the events.
Red Ribbon Week. That's a big one, especially for,
That's so hard for me to say.
Red Ribbon Week.
Red Ribbon Week.
You got to go home and practice. Sally sells seashells by the seashore.
Looks like you have to practice, too.
I can say Red Ribbon Week.
Darn it. You got me. Red Ribbon Week was something that was, oh my gosh, so much fun to be a part of. Yeah. I started just tagging along with stuff that you guys do because I love seeing the community light up and engage, and I love watching that aspect of the stuff that we do here at the department. Talk about Red Ribbon Week and what that all is.
So we rotate through different schools to basically, I think it's every 3 years, cover all the elementary schools in the county. So we get, we've got DPS involved, we get the county sheriff's department involved, and they have a special surprise for most of the schools. I'm not going to ruin it, but if you have a kid that's in elementary school and they like airplanes and things that fly, make sure
weather permitting.
Yes,
it's
weather
a very
permitting.
Cool surprise.
It's a very cool surprise. We get our K9 unit. DPS has brought their K9 a couple times. SWAT comes out there. We've had the Woodway SWAT team. Basically, just anybody that's law enforcement in the county will get in a big convoy, turn all of our lights and sirens on in the middle of a presentation on anti-drug lifestyle choices for kids. The convoy rolls up in the middle of it, and just their faces light up as bright as our lights are, and everybody starts screaming and hooting and hollering. And then, we've got little stations where the kids will break out and learn about the different aspects of policing involved.
Right. So yeah, you guys focus on a lot of different events. In the past year, we've had some honorable mentions, which is the Back to School Bash and the Trunk or Treat.
Yes.
And is there another one? I feel like those were like the two biggest.
Yeah, those are the two that I can remember.
Blue Santa.
Blue Santa.
I was like, I knew there's something else.
Yeah, Blue Santa's not a new one though. We've been doing that.
No, but I feel
20 years
you guys have been doing Blue Santa for a really long time. I feel this way was a little bit different this year though, wasn't it? Or it was maybe it was just organized on our part a little bit different.
Blue Santas.
Yeah, we had.
I don't think we've had suits yet.
They weren't suits. It was a Blue Santa. We called Santa and we said, "Hey, you got a brother?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he loves the police department and he wears a blue suit because of it. Yeah. And we said, "Please."
Well, that was North Pole Spec Ops.
Yes.
They've sent people to different agencies. We were able to get some assistance from their liaison this year.
That's right. So yeah, we had Blue Santa come and surprise a whole bunch of kids in the community handing out presents, and that was so much fun.
Yes.
And so that is just a little bit of what you guys do. We've talked about so much because we've also had volunteers in our past episodes. We've had
the volunteers, the
volunteer chaplains,
explorers. Those are the ones that meet regularly. CPA, Citizens Police Academy, is what that stands for.
And now it seems like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you have all these volunteers and all these like extracurricular activities people can be a part of. That's a lot of like after work hours for you guys, right?
What are work hours? We flex our schedules a lot. Just depends on what events are coming up, what educational programs. National Night Out's another big one we do every year.
Night Out, yes.
I don't know how I forgot that one. We've already started planning it, and it's 8 months out.
Right.
So,
hey, we got to plan at least a year out for these events now, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel at the perfect time because it was a few months after Chief Victorian has started, and in the midst of all that, she said, I want to put on some events. And, excitingly, it was put on you guys to kind of figure out how that all was going to happen. And you guys made it work.
Yeah.
So.
I'm very grateful to our chief for what I'm going to consider job security, but also just the support that we have for giving back to the community. And I feel like a lot of what community outreach does is educational.
Yeah. I love Officer Martinez's wall of information. That's what I call it. The one that's in your guys' closet with all the brochures and the pamphlets.
It is like a 30-foot long wall from floor to ceiling of informational handouts.
Yes.
Some of those are really funny from like the 90s.
but from any topic that you can imagine. Seriously, I mean, it's from something simple as like bike safety, like a brochure, talking about specific helmets and things like that, or it goes all the way to drug prevention.
Yes. And anything in between. And it's not all specifically law enforcement related topics. There's gun safety. Eddie Eagle, I remember hearing about him as a kid, and now like I've got the brochures to hand out to kids and the videos that I think are in there too. I mean, it's just so much information that we've got. We'll get asked to go to. There's a few churches that have asked us to help with like security type things. Like, hey, we've been having an issue with random people showing up in the middle of our service. What can we do about that? We want to get a security team together. How can we do that? We had Detective Glenn on here, and he talked about how he does the security assessments. That's something else that we can do. I'm pretty sure we do residential surveys too. I could be wrong, but I know that's something you and I have gone to class to start getting certified in. But
yes,
in addition to the SAFE unit, community outreach does those surveys too. Business surveys.
Well, and you guys also assist in other people's events. So, like if someone is putting on an event and they want someone like an officer or the fire truck or something like that, they will call on you guys to have you guys come out for a weekend event for a few hours and help out with that.
We just did a super cool thing with Walmart, had like an Easter egg hunt. I don't remember the exact number. It was in the thousands of eggs that they had hidden in the field next to their parking lot. Ooh. They asked us to come out, and I mean, it's just, you name it, we show up, as long as one of us is available, because we do have a lot of things going on, and it's only Officer Martinez and I that can go show up as police officers.
Right.
Occasionally, Sarge will come out there and help us too when one of us is on one event and then they need two people for another one. It's just cool to be able to, like we've talked about previously and earlier, about getting involved on a good day instead of, trying to solve someone's problems and on their worst day.
Right, exactly. And so you've been here for about 5 years?
Yes.
Did I get that
just
right?
shy of 5 years.
Just shy of 5 years.
Yeah.
Me too. Just kidding. I'm still under a year. So I feel though, in the 5 years that you've been here, how much fun have you had in the last year?
It has been exciting. It has been so much fun, again, doing the positive engagement with the community instead of showing up on a bad day. But, I mean, I remember when I was in field training, I'm not going to say when, because it may have technically been illegal to have a lemonade stand, and my field training officer, Bynum and I showed up to a lemonade stand, bought lemonade, and it got plastered on the Facebook page, and I was like, I like this. This is an aspect of policing that I really enjoy, and I would love to do more. And, now lemonade stands are legal, and I can't find one to save my life. Now that I get to do that, where it's like, I don't have to go answer a call. I can just, what's up, kids? You guys want some stickers? I'll give you $1 and some stickers, and you give me like 2 lemonades maybe.
Oh my goodness.
But just like hanging out with whoever we get to interact with is so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lemonade stands are illegal?
They used to be, yeah. I think it was late 2017, early 2018. There's some legislation passed that finally made them like not illegal to do. I don't remember what it was, but I just remember at the time it was an illegal thing.
That was something that was so much fun to do as a kid, was have a lemonade stand.
Kids don't follow rules. They don't know the rules. But
no. They're only making like $10. Let them have the lemonade stand.
You made $10 off a lemonade stand?
Yeah.
I think I probably never made money. Like
You're just giving it away.
No, just like nobody ever bought it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, it was like, I feel like it was my mom calling the neighbors and was like, can you just go by there and give her a quarter?
So what you're saying is my mom didn't get her friends to come buy lemonade from me.
I don't know. Maybe ask her. Well, I'm glad they're not illegal anymore. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, little known facts.
Right. And I'm shocked we haven't brought this up yet, but you specifically are in charge of something very important to our county.
Crime Stoppers.
Crime Stoppers. That's
Yeah.
right. That's something else that's part of the community outreach.
That's true.
unit.
I kind of just forgot about that one. I was like, oh, we'll talk about Crime Stoppers in another episode.
Well, no, we can totally do that, but we can just give them a little
Yeah.
taste of it today. I mean, you are
Absolutely. So that's my job title, is the Crime Stoppers coordinator, and Crime Stoppers serves all of McLennan County. So if you don't know what it is, Crime Stoppers is a way to incentivize people to report what they know about crimes to help the police solve crime. It is the only totally anonymous reporting platform. You can call in a tip. You can get on our website.
You can
send
text
us
a tip?
You can't text a tip.
You can't?
But there's an app
just
you
kidding.
can download.
I lied.
Yeah. So in order to keep people anonymous, you can't text it in because then your number's associated with it, and you
True.
can potentially have your identity compromised that way. So
Okay.
no longer a text option.
Okay.
But you can always call either 254-753-HELP, which is 4357, or something new Crime Stoppers USA just rolled out maybe a month ago is if you call ** tips, you can click a link. So whenever you hang up from them, you click a link that they'll text you, and it basically
submit
gives
the
you,
tip that way.
yeah, it gives you a way to add more information and keep track of the tip number. So that's the only way you can, you're identified as a tip number. And
Right.
unless you tell someone, hey, I'm tip number W1234, nobody knows except for you and, yeah, just you, unless you tell somebody.
And so you can also download the app.
Yes, the P3 app. It's a blue P with a 3 incorporated in it.
And you can find that. It's super easy
it's-
to search.
yeah.
The letter P and the number 3, P3 app.
Yeah, and that's on Google, Android, and Apple iTunes. The cool thing about the app is it keeps you anonymous, and you can basically two-way communicate with me. So if I've got a question for you, hey, we're not finding the person you're talking about is wanted. Do you have like what his age might be or what their address is? You can send that information right back to me. And then I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but the coolest thing about Crime Stoppers is that you can get up to $2,000 if somebody gets arrested. So when your tip is successful, it leads to an arrest, that's how I can tell you, hey, go collect your reward. This is how to do it. If not, then you have to continually call back and check on it. So
Right. And something else that's I think is really interesting too is the fact of the anonymity that.
that was impressive. That's taken me a year to pronounce enunciate.
I always have to think about it before I say it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like Nemo.
Well, anyway, what I was saying
Sorry.
is, no, you're good. It's really hard that we've noticed our detectives, people aren't very forthcoming with information. Whether it can, even if it's not going to get them in trouble to be forthcoming with that information, they just are worried or scared or what that may be. And so with Crime Stoppers, it's really nice to know that if you know something about any sort of crime, and you are afraid of retaliation or anything like that, you can submit that tip, and if it leads to an arrest, like you said, up to $2,000.
Yeah. So I want to say the national average is 80% of tips go unclaimed. So
80% unclaimed?
yeah, I think that's what the number I got taught was.
Oh
yeah.
my.
So it's crazy to me that it's like people just need an avenue to voice their concerns.
Mm-hmm. It's like it's like at that point, because a lot of times too, like you're right. Some people, they just want to say it, and once they say it and get it off their chest, they feel better.
Yeah, there's a lot
it's
of people.
conscience type thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I think are worried about retaliation or retribution, like you mentioned earlier, and so it keeps them from saying things. Other people, they could care less. They're gonna do things. They think other people are gonna do illegal things. It's whatever. It's a circle of life. So we incentivize them with money, and then they come forward with information. So we're kind of getting people from both sides, the people that are scared, the people that are just kind of apathetic, don't want to do anything. We incentivize both of them with anonymity and money. Mm-hmm. And the end goal is just to help solve crime. So at the end of the day, if somebody gets arrested, that's awesome. Like, especially if that's the person that committed a crime and, that's where they need to be. Yeah. I was going somewhere with this, and I completely went down a rabbit hole.
No, you're good. I think it's really cool that the Crime Stoppers is a part of the community outreach unit, and some people might not realize why. And I think to clear that up, it would be because that you're not the one really, you're there to help the Crime Stoppers board or the Crime Stoppers organization.
Yeah, Crime Stoppers is completely separate from the
Crime Stoppers is completely separate from the police department. You're there as the police officer to help these community members who, to help these community members understand the law enforcement side of things, right?
Yeah, so basically, since I'm a police officer, I've been blessed to have access to criminal justice information systems. So the tip comes in, says Billy Bad Guy's wanted. I can confirm that. You know, I can go to my computer and type in his name, look him up, get a date of birth for that person, and do a little bit of pseudo detective work. I'm not going to call myself a detective because I am not that qualified. But I'll make sure that, you know, the person's wanted, find a better address, or, you know, link information together a little bit more, make it look pretty, send it to a detective or send it to someone to go apprehend that guy. So as a police officer, I can do things that the board can't do. So Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit. So they are independent of the police department. So everything that comes in to Crime Stoppers is not subject to open records. It's not subject to disclosure under the Code of Criminal Procedure. And there's actually state law in the Government Code, Chapter 414, that says there's a whole list of procedures that have to be complied with in order to get Crime Stoppers information just basically discussed at trial. Mm-hmm. And it's a very involved process. And from what I've heard, it never actually goes through. Like, no one's ever able to get it to go to court. So that's just how well protected people's anonymity is. And if you accidentally tell me something that reveals who you are in a tip, I'm going to redact it. You're still confidential. Like, you're not anonymous because I know who you are, but there's only 2 people that have access to that system in the county, and I'm one of them. So right. I'm going to redact it and then pass it on to whoever needs that information. Mm-hmm.
And because Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit, it's, helped, kind of worked by the board, which is a bunch of community members just wanting to have a safer community and, serve justice. So I think that's really cool. And kind of that's why it's part of that community outreach unit.
Yeah. Because we're like, I don't want to say the enforcement branch of the community, but like we're one of the ways that you can be an involved community member and, actively work to help the community and help the police department with crime fighting.
Yeah, yeah. If someone wanted to be part of Crime Stoppers, how can they do that?
I guess shoot me an email, crimestoppers@wacotx.gov.
Perfect. And there's a lot of different ways to volunteer with the department. There's the Crime Stoppers. We have, in your unit, we've got the police chaplains. We have the WCP AAA. We have...
That's an alphabet soup.
WCP AAA? It's the
Waco
Radio Citizens Police Academy Alumni
Association. That sounds right.
Yes. Thank you. I was like, wait, there's another A I'm missing.
Yes.
And all those different, the Junior Police Academy isn't necessarily like volunteer, but you end up kind of doing volunteer work.
Yeah. So the way that I would explain it is the Junior Police Academy is kind of a recruitment tool and training class for kiddos. Well, I say kiddos, but high school age youths that are interested in law enforcement. And if they want to continue learning and continue being involved and become a volunteer, the Junior Police Academy, or JPA, leads right into the Explorer program, which is one of our volunteer youth education programs. And then for the adults, we've got the CPA, or Citizens Police Academy. That's very similar, a training platform and recruiting tool for the CP AAA. So graduate from the Citizens Police Academy, become a member of the Alumni Association if you so choose, and get to be involved and volunteer at all of our different events.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things from all sorts of ages that you could be a part of this department. And I think it's great, too, to have all those opportunities for the community to come in and see what we do. And talk, and I say we, I mean you as officers.
Well, you get drug into a lot of it, too, so it's us.
Well, I would say that I really enjoy it as well, but it's really cool to kind of pull back the curtain for that community. And there's really, there is no curtain. It's just kind of, if you want to see what's going on over here, then come on over. Because it's hard to show what we're doing all the time, every day, right?
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a curtain, but there's like the illusion of one. I feel like a lot of community members I talk to feel like there's some sort of Wizard of Oz curtain that the police department's hiding behind. We're hiding in the really tall Batman-looking tower over off of Pine. But realistically, like, all I got to do is talk to us. Like, if you talk to me, I'm going to tell you, hey, come do a ride along. Like, sit in the police car, see for yourself. Don't ask questions, see it. And then, you're going to have really good questions instead of the ones you had. Like, I feel like a ride along will answer most people's questions and lead to the hard ones.
Right, exactly. It helps the community understand us, but it also helps our officers understand those community members as well.
Yeah. Some of my favorite ride-alongs have been people that don't like the police.
Okay.
Because
there you go.
I know right off the bat they don't like me. Mm-hmm. And, okay, my grandma likes bean soup. So I'll sit in there and I'll talk to them. And then by the end of the time, they're like, this was a good experience.
You put pants on in the morning too?
Yeah.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah. They're like, you're just a normal person?
Yeah.
Yeah. With normal person with like 50,000 pounds of equipment on me and a bunch of stuff that rattles. But yeah, I mean, I've got flesh and bones just like you. I mean, I try to wake up in the mornings, but I feel like it's always good because sometimes we'll have, I don't know what awkward is. Like I get into awkward situations sometimes and it doesn't bother me. So I'll have a normal conversation with somebody that doesn't like me. We will become friends, and at the end of the day, I feel like I've learned something too because now I have their perspective on why they didn't like me at the beginning of the shift, and I get to answer questions. Like, I feel like if you have questions about what law enforcement's doing, or you don't understand why this YouTube video looks so bad, like, come ride with us. Like, ask an officer. I feel pretty comfortable saying that everyone at Waco that you could potentially ride with is going to tell you pretty close to the truth and not put too much bias into why they think a certain situation happened the way it did.
Right.
I feel like if you don't talk to someone, or if you haven't experienced law enforcement like in action, you're going to see a video and it's going to look really bad. Well, use of force is never going to look pretty. Like, at the end of the day, it's basically fighting. So when we watch Mike Tyson beat somebody up on an airplane, it doesn't look pretty, but it's not good. If a use of force leads to that officer going home at the end of the shift, it's not going to look pretty, but it's for a reason. Come right along, come with questions, and ask them. Don't be afraid to.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, that's all with the community outreach unit, with our neighborhood engagement team, I think those are two really big, great units. Of course, the SAFE unit does such a great job as well, interacting with the community, and all of our officers do a good job. Our patrol officers don't get to do it as much because they are, at those calls for service and things like that. But in their downtime, if they're seeing kids on the street, I know there's plenty of times where they just stop and say hi and interact with them, and it just takes a hello.
Yeah,
to open that door. So.
I know it's happening because these officers come to our office for stickers to pass out to the kids. So.
Okay, and then when they run out of stickers, you're like, all right, that's good. Well, the community outreach unit, I mean, you guys, this is just, one of the best units at the department, even though you guys have to stay in the basement. But that's okay.
At least we're safe when there's a tornado.
That's true.
Yeah. That's
so true. If there's a tornado, I'm coming down there. Or you can go up to dispatch. They have like those storm windows.
Have you seen them in action?
Yes.
It's crazy.
Very cool. Anyway, before we get sidetracked here.
Again.
Yes, this is just a great team that you guys got down there, and only a few of you. It's very interesting. I feel
Yeah.
people don't realize sometimes is we have so many units, but there's only a handful of either officers and or a mix of officers and professional employees that make up those units.
Yeah.
That do a lot.
There is a lot to be done. And there's more that we could do. So we need more people to help out.
Absolutely. Yeah. More volunteers. And you can find all of this information on the City of Waco website, wacopolice.com. It has the Junior Police Academy, the Explorers, the WCP AAA. It has the CPA.
Yeah.
That's a lot of letters.
There's a lot of acronyms. So if you are interested in getting involved, get ready for acronym soup.
Alphabet soup.
Acronym.
Acronym alphabet soup.
It's like the classier fine dining.
That's right. And we are happy that you guys came on to listen to us this week. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'm Sierra Shipley, the Public Information Officer.
And I'm Officer AJ Smith, the Crime Stoppers Coordinator for McLennan County.
Have a good one, Waco.
Until next time.
Waco PD on the beat. The heartbeat serving